and welcome to our first in our series of TalkLIS sessions with me, Julian Tyndall-Biscoe. I'm joined by Matt France, who is Customer Insight Analyst at Rochdale Metropolitan Borough Council, and Jonathan Caunce, who is Intelligence Analyst at Wigan Council. Thank you both for joining us. I wondered first if I could just have a quick talk to Matt about your particular project. Matt, I understand that this has been very important in terms of getting intelligence out to the local strategic partnership, and that your project has played quite an important role in that. I just wondered if you could take us through how that came about and whether any particular issues that cropped up along the way.
Yeah, sure, Julian. A few years ago, we identified a need to provide the local community and our LSP with evidence to help support decision making. And we sort of realised at the time that there was lots of sources of evidence and lots of different data sources that people were using. So we wanted to pull it all together into one easy to use, easily accessible system that all our partners and especially our local community and sort of third sector could access to help them sort of develop their funding bids and to give them the information they need to understand their local communities. So we obviously went with GWise to help us come up with a solution to that, and StatsAtlas was born, and it's been a real success so far with lots of our local community groups and our LSP partners using the site to get interesting and valuable information off it.
And it's called Stats and Maps. And as you say, it's not just, there's a wide variety of users. It sounds as though the community itself is also benefiting from this. And I think, you've had some good feedback from the community, I think.
Yes, we have. We actually actively take out the system into the community. So we go to their community centres, to the community bases, and demonstrate the site and sort of take the groups through how they can use the system best to meet their needs. And because of this sort of this training and this high level of accessibility, we're getting some really good feedback from our local communities, especially around using the evidence to support their funding bids, to develop their local areas and their local community groups. And it's almost sort of empowering the local community to challenge the council as well, because they feel like they've got a lot more evidence, a lot more intelligence about their local areas and some of the decisions being made, so they feel more confident in challenging the local partners and council.
And this evidence, I think I'd like to bring in Jonathan, if I may. Jonathan, I mean, this idea of evidence for local strategic partnerships is quite important. I think similar things happen with you, isn't it, with Wisdom? Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very similar. I mean, I think maybe we came at it from a slightly more sort of strategic angle originally than Matt, obviously, with the focus on the community. I think we've kind of done that afterwards, if you like, in sort of realising the benefits that it has for the community. But I think in terms of in terms of decision making in our local strategic partnership, I think the key thing really for us was that people needed to make sure that when they were making decisions, although people understood the area very, very well, it's about making sure that evidence, that sort of gut feeling that people have about what the issues are, is backed up by evidence, and as well that we're not just thinking about Wigan as a whole. Wigan is quite a diverse place in terms of has many different communities within it that all have quite different problems, and I think what our LIS is able to do is really to think about what are the the specific problems in specific areas that we need to address. So rather than kind of a one-size-fits-all. I think that the local authorities generally have been trying to move away from that kind of one-size-fits-all to a more focused approach, I suppose, really. And that's, I think, what RLS has been really trying to be about, really, is let's not just tar everyone with the same brush. Let's think about what specific communities actually need, and I think that's where Wisdom's really come in to try and help that process, really, so that people are not having to kind of search around lots of different data websites and find statistics from lots of different places, but being able to try and pull that together so that if you're working in one department, you can actually access the data from many other departments all in one place, rather than just try and cut down on that kind of the time-consuming aspect of pulling together data and intelligence as well. So.
Yes, and I just wondered whether you'd both, come across this. We talk about providing services according to need, and I think in the past, we've picked up examples where effectively anecdotal evidence was being used as opposed to hard evidence and data-led or intelligence-led commissioning, if you like. I wondered whether you'd ever come across that in the past, whether that was something that you'd seen examples of. Either I don't know whether you have Matt or Jonathan.
Yeah, to be honest, that was one of the main reasons why we developed our LIS, was to make sure that everyone was singing from the same hymn sheet, as you say. We found evidence of people using out-of-date statistics that weren't really fit for purposes for what they've been used for. So one of our main aims was to bring together all these statistics in one reliable, easy to use sort of source, which all our local communities could access. Especially since they were non-experts, so statistics can be quite daunting, and the use of them and the use of research and evidence is quite daunting to some people. So we're trying to sort of cut down on that and try to give the facts and figures a bit more reliability and a bit more presence.
And simple presentation. Sorry, go on.
So I was going to say, from our point of view, I think it was trying to not get to make out that we're kind of making decisions based on no evidence. Or I think obviously there is a place for that kind of more knowledge-based, if you like, in terms of thinking of your past experience rather than necessarily having the percentage of whatever kind of type statistics. I think there's definitely a place for that, but I think they're trying to move to marrying up that more sort of anecdotal evidence with the hard facts as well, so that you kind of, although we can almost be sure that anecdotal evidence is accurate, it's just making that case even stronger, and especially as Matt's talked about funding bids for community groups, that's absolutely key. Is that they're down on the ground, they know what the issues are, but it's just helping them to make sure that they can evidence that in the easiest possible way, so that they can access the kind of funds and get access to the money that can really make a difference. So I think that's what the kind of aim that we're both trying to get to, really.
Yes, and as Matt mentioned, there are a wide group of people with different levels of expertise, and so simple data presentation is the key. And I guess you both must have found that having something straightforward that is easy to understand is very important. Is that the case, Matt?
Yes, absolutely. Previously we did have a different LIS system from the InstantAtlas product, and one of the main criticisms of that system was the limitations in the sort of data presentation and the sort of data visualization. And what we found is with the InstantAtlas product is it allows people to access and, more importantly, understand the information much more easily, and the sort of ability to create custom reports and custom atlases to better meet the needs of the users is a big plus from our point of view.
Yeah, well, I'm pleased that you're getting such good use out of it. I wondered just sort of finally if we could touch on the future for LIS. I mean, we know that the situation is looking relatively grim in terms of funding for public services, and you both have said how important LIS is in determining that resources are spent in the right way. I suppose there is a concern that short-termism might come in, and various projects might not be as well funded, and actually these are the projects that have a lot of benefit for the community and services, public services. I just wondered whether you both, what your views were on the future, and wondered whether, Jonathan, you could just tell us, you've obviously just about to get wisdom off the ground, and wondered whether what you hope the future will hold.
Yeah, I mean, possibly in the past when we've kind of gone through these kind of times, and maybe we've not seen cuts on this scale, but we've certainly obviously seen cuts before. But possibly not having these kind of systems has meant that, as we were talking about earlier in terms of this anecdotal evidence, that when people have kind of put that forward in the past, that probably that's where the short-termism has come in, and that people have been saying, well, you can't evidence that properly. We've got to make savings, and so unfortunately that's going to have to go. And I think what our kind of systems that can hopefully aid in this time round is that we'll be able to make sure that communities and departments as well have got the best evidence base they can to make the case for keeping hold of some of these services, so that those ones that are really, really making the difference, when we can actually evidence that they are making that difference as well, so that when it comes to deciding where the funds are going, even if there are less of them around, that we can make sure that we're using them in the best possible way.
Yes. So you're still seeing yourself as an integral part of that, and hopefully able to be seen as the way that to help funds being directed in the right place. Do you think that's the same with you, Matt?
Yes, I definitely echo Jonathan's comments, and I think one of the main benefits is going to be to the sort of the idea of big society and sort of local empowerment. I think that LIS just in general is going to play, or could play a big role in that, in sort of informing local communities about their local area and where the real issues do lie. So initially I thought the spending cuts would possibly be a bad thing for LIS systems, but I think thinking about it, I think there might be a greater need for them maybe in the future.
Yeah. So, well, it's good to hear that you're both positive. I'd just like to say thank you, Jonathan and Matt, for your time, and all the best for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.